This is the Dr. Berg Show. Live from the nation's capital, it's time to get healthy, lose weight, and feel great. Call now to speak with Dr. Berg at 866-561-4292. And now, Dr. Eric Berg.
Hey guys, we're back. It's another Friday morning in the nation's capital. Well, actually, we're about 6 miles south of the nation's capital. But anyway, I'm here today to answer your questions: ketogenic, intermittent fasting, nutrition. We already got a ton of calls already, so I'm here to answer your questions. So the number, if you want to call in, it's 866-561-4292. All right, so I'm here most Friday mornings at 9 o'clock a.m. There's been some questions that people wanted me to do this later in the day because they're in other parts of the country. I'm looking at that right now. I'm just not set up to do that, so unfortunately you won't be able to get up in the middle of the morning and 3 o'clock and call in. But anyway, so the first caller we have is Diana from Arizona. Go ahead. You had a question about hair loss.
Good morning, Mr. Bird.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm an adrenal type, and I'm taking all these supplements. I'm taking vitamin D3 and K2 and your formula for hair loss. I mean your hair, and I'm taking zinc as drops that has copper in it. That way, because my ends are split ends as well. But my hair I keep losing my hair.
Okay.
I'm in ketosis as well, and I do intermittent fasting as well.
Okay, so the first question we want to know, Diana, let's just use this as an example. When exactly did you start losing hair?
Like a month ago after Passover.
Okay. Now, what happened exactly just before this? Did you start a fast? Did you change something? What occurred just before you started losing hair?
Well, I stopped being in ketosis. I went off the diet, and as soon as the festival, the vacation was over, I went back to the diet.
Okay, so the change. The change was you went off the ketogenic diet, or you went back on it?
I went off for a little bit, but I was starting to lose hair just right before I went off the diet. I stopped taking your what's it called? Your minerals, trace minerals, because I ran out of it. So I stopped taking it, and then I started retaking it when I got the new order. Okay,
great. So there's a couple tips I'm going to recommend. You know, it's always amazing. It's when you think about it, it's really simple. You want to find out there's always a change that occurs just before the change. And in your case, you ran out of the trace minerals. The trace minerals basically are there to help proteins form in the body. You cannot make proteins, hair, nail, skin, muscle, without trace minerals. And so that activates the enzymes to initiate it. So obviously, hopefully, you put that back in. But when you go on a ketogenic diet, and you really get into ketosis and you're doing it for a period of time, your proteins should normally improve on your body. Okay, so if they don't, then that means you haven't got into ketosis yet. I like to combine intermittent fasting with ketosis because that will really severely increase hormones like growth hormone to preserve muscle mass, protein loss, and all that. So, like even take a diabetic, they're in what's called a catabolic state where your body's breaking down protein faster and it's building back up. So we're kind of switching way over here, getting rid of the insulin resistance, getting rid of problems with insulins, increasing growth hormone. And so I think you want to add the raw material, which is the trace minerals. Make sure you're doing the collagen. Make sure you're doing B vitamins. You might need more nutritional yeast. And that should bring it back. But whatever actually improved the hair will keep improving. You just got to go back to the successful actions. But typically, it sounds like the change was you dropped out the amino acids. So put that back in. And touch base with us next week to see if that helped you. Okay? So we have another question from North Carolina. I think it's Rubia. You had a question? Are you on the air?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, okay. I have two questions about the ketogenic diet. So I've been on it for about 3 months, and I have seen many benefits. I've lost about 25 pounds, and But every time, whenever I started, I've been experiencing some constipation. Like I only have a bowel movement every 3 or so days.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to, like, I'm taking a lot of potassium, your wheatgrass juice, and I've, worked on getting more probiotic, and I still haven't seen any changes. This is my first question. My second question is, my husband, who does not need to lose weight, he also wanted to start the diet just for health, but, he was on it for like 2 days and he lost like 5 pounds. So, what can we do for him to be on a diet, on the ketogenic diet, and not lose weight?
Okay.
Those are my questions.
Good question. I have a quick question for you. As far as we look at before you went on the ketogenic diet and after the ketogenic diet, tell me, what's the big difference with you? Are you eating a lot more vegetables than you normally do? Are you adding vegetables that you don't normally eat, like kale?
No, I did kale in the first week, and that did not do well with me. So I'm doing more like spinach, cabbage, sauerkraut, and just vegetables that I used to eat before, like cucumbers and tomatoes and mushrooms and things.
So
the kale did not do well.
Okay, so is there any change with the vegetables on now that you're in a ketogenic that you didn't do before, or was everything exactly the same before and after?
Well, I would say just the amount, because before I would eat like a little salad, and now I'm eating salad for lunch and dinner.
Okay.
A lot of salad.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have to just test it out, because there's a couple causes of constipation. You're already doing a lot of potassium. That's great. That could handle it, but apparently in your case it's not handling it. You're doing the probiotics. What happens though when you go on this this program that I'm recommending 7 to 10 cups of vegetables. These fibers in the vegetables feed the microbes. And if these microbes are not used to that much food, you can overwhelm them and you can pretty much kind of shut them down, and everything kind of backs up because they're not able to keep up with the digestion. So chances are the reason why you're constipated is just you're overwhelming the system with so much fiber from the vegetables. So do an experiment for 3 days. Cut down the quantity of vegetables. Keep in the fermented ones, maybe steam some, but as far as the raw ones, cut down the quantity and see if that doesn't handle the constipation. Okay? That should handle it. And in the meantime, well, just do that. And in the meantime, if that doesn't handle it, call back next week. We'll tell you what to do. But in the meantime, you're going to have to take some type of laxative, healthy, natural laxative to keep things going, because it's more dangerous to be backed up for 3 days than it is to take a laxative. Okay? Now, as far as your husband goes, I always like to add intermittent fasting with ketogenic diet. The problem is you will lose a lot of body fat doing this. For some people, that's not a problem, but for some people, they're trying to gain weight. Unfortunately, if you want to really kind of keep your weight up, you're going to have to either increase the quantity of food that he's eating, add a little bit more fat, and he may need to add berries and maybe sweet potato to this program. Now, it might bump him out of ketosis, but still, for some people that are trying to gain some weight, that might be the area to go after. Okay, so that's what I would recommend. Hey, Mike, you're on the air. You're from Pennsylvania. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Yeah, I just want to say thanks for all the videos that you put out there. It's a great source of information.
Oh, my pleasure.
And my question is about apple cider vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
A few months ago, my glucose levels were way out of control, so I immediately started eating low carb, and that was working to a point. And then once I found out about apple cider vinegar, I started taking it, and it was actually working, so it got me back down to normal. But my main concern is with its effect on the tooth enamel. So what I do is I drink it through a straw. I try to keep it off my teeth as best as I can, and I rinse my mouth afterwards. But still, I'm kind of concerned that, if I'm taking this long term, I guess one of my questions is it safe to do long term? Mm-hmm. And is there anything else I can do to make sure that it's not going to wear my teeth enamel away?
Yeah, good question, Mike. Here's the thing, there's a couple things you can do. Yes, when you do this apple cider vinegar, and by the way, apple cider vinegar has a pH of 2.5. I mean, that's close to battery acid. It's so acidic. Your stomach pH is between 1 and 3. Apple cider vinegar is 2.5, so that's extremely acid. And so you always want to drink it through a straw. You don't want that stuff in your mouth because it can break down the calcium, because acid tends to release calcium from the system. It makes calcium more mobilized, and you don't want to do that. So yeah, a straw will be fine. Now you also have this acid going down your esophagus. For most people, it is not a problem because you're diluting the apple cider vinegar in water, 1 to 2 teaspoons per glass of water. I'm talking about 12 ounce, not an 8 ounce. So now we're not getting the concentration of acid anymore. Okay, so it's pretty much dilute. So it should be fine down the esophagus if you use a straw. There's not going to be any problem. If you're concerned, then you just get it as a pill form. That's one of the reasons why I created something called, it's called apple cider vinegar plus. I added a powdered apple cider vinegar with the betaine hydrochloride, which is an acidifier, in a tablet, and it's kind of protected, so there's not a lot of acid on the outside, so you swallow it, it goes in the stomach, boom, you're fine. There's no more problem. It won't create any irritation at all, but it keeps your stomach acid. But I will say that as you age, the pH of the stomach goes more alkaline, you lose your stomach acid. That's why an older person can't digest, red meats, they have problems with gas, they start becoming anemic, they can't get the amino acids. So it's just really, really important to add that in there, plus to help with the fatty liver, plus to offset some of the fat that you're consuming from the ketogenic diet. So you want to keep it in there, but I wouldn't be too concerned unless you have attention on it. Okay, so those are some options that you might want to try. Thanks, Mike. Hey, Susan, you're on the air from Michigan. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks so much for taking my call. I'm calling for a couple of reasons. I have followed your plan for a year, and I've felt great, and I've advised others and got a lot of people that I know feeling wonderful. The last 6 months haven't been as wonderful. Started gaining, still feel great, but just gaining. And I know that it's because of the death of my dad, but I was just wondering, is doing intermittent fasting and adding that extra stress on my body, is that possibly what's going on? And then also if you could speak about left shoulder pain.
Sure. Okay, so I have a question. 6 months ago, do you remember when you started gaining weight?
Right.
Okay. Was it
Yes, I started, yeah.
Was it date coincidence with adding intermittent fasting or the death of your dad?
No, I've done intermittent fasting. No,
Okay.
I did intermittent fasting for like a year and a half now.
Okay, so that's not a new thing.
No.
So the new thing is you lost your dad.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, so that just kind of narrows it down to what's happening with cortisol and the adrenals and stress. So let's just talk about that. If we take all the stresses that you can experience, losses will hit the adrenals, damaged adrenals, more than physical trauma. Now, if we take emotional trauma or physical trauma, what really damages is the suddenness of the shock. Someone telling you very fast, this versus kind of slowly easing in and letting you kind of process it. Or even in a car, you're sitting in the car and you get rear-ended. You don't even see the car coming. And next thing you know, you wake up in the hospital. That is very, very serious stress. Versus you see the car coming, you're bracing yourself, you get hit. That's much less of a stress. So it's really the shock of a loved one being lost or the shock of being impacted. What that does to the adrenal is it causes the adrenal to raise cortisol. Cortisol then releases insulin, bumps you out of ketosis. That's probably the most likely cause. So there's a couple things you can do. Number one, every single day you have to do long hour walks. That's the type of exercise you need. Long walks. You're not listening to the music. You're not with anyone. You're just getting space. You're just looking out there, just getting your space. Okay, that's number one. Number two, make sure in your house you don't have too many things reminding you of your dad, like pictures on the wall, because it just kind of keeps it going. Number three, you want to make sure that you add another hour of sleep do things to enhance the quality of sleep that you have. Now, to work on the physical adrenals, you probably already have my massage tool, but I would recommend doing acupressure for the adrenal system. I would also Nutritional recommend a product called Adrenal and Cortisol Relief. I just released something called Adrenal Fatigue, advanced formula. Don't take that one. That one's for low cortisol. You have probably high cortisol. So that one is for more arthritis, really burnt out people, people that have no more cortisol left. You have too much. So those are some things that I think that are going wrong. I don't think the problem is with your eating. I don't think intermittent fasting is going to be more of a stress to you. It takes stress off the body, especially if you do it correctly and you're not hungry and you lost your appetite and you're feeling great. So I would keep in the things that were successful, but just focus on the adrenal. Probably the acupressure is going to be the most helpful to you. All right, thanks, Susan. All right, so then we have Dorita from Florida. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. I love your program. And I
Thanks.
have a question about the nutritional yeast. Hi. Nutritional yeast. I find out I'm allergic to yeast a couple years ago. So I'm wondering if I still consume those nutritional yeast. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to react to that because you have an allergy to yeast. Unfortunately, you can't do the yeast. So now the problem is, how are you going to get your B vitamins? So you're going to have to find some other sources, non-yeast. Make sure they're natural. You're going to have to look at the label. Get the B vitamins that are the cofactors. They're called cofactor B vitamins. But unfortunately, that's one source. The other source of B vitamins that are really healthy, believe it or not, is liver. Now, you could do actual grass-fed liver, saute it with onions, or you can take grass-fed liver pills to get your B vitamins. Just a tip, you don't have to do that, but I'm just trying to give you an idea. All right, thanks for calling. Hey, Mylan, you sound familiar. I think you called before. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Berg. About 2 weeks ago, I came down with a urinary tract infection.
Mm-hmm.
And while trying to fight the infection, I drank a lot of water with your electrolyte powder in it. And by the end of the second day, my kidneys started hurting. So I stopped taking the powder, and it went away, after about a day. And so I was just wondering if it's possible to have like an overdose of that electrolyte powder where it's like too hard on your kidneys or something.
Good question. So are you 100% sure that you had a UTI?
The symptoms seem to point that way. I didn't go to a doctor because, I have an aversion to doctors. I did the D-mannose and cranberry juice and all that stuff. But I was drinking a lot of water and also the electrolyte powder.
Can you tell me?
But the symptoms...
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me the symptoms.
So unable to control my urine, and so I had to stay real close to the bathroom, burning and that type of thing.
Okay.
And then, of course, had like fever-type symptoms too, where I was just, I was down, I was sick.
Okay. Did you have any type of pain in your abdomen anywhere?
Not necessarily. No, not that I could think of now.
Was there any blood in the urine?
No, not that I'm aware of. I did not see any.
Okay.
But it was sort of cloudy, like it gets with a tract infection. It's the first one I've ever had in my life, so.
Yeah.
My wife's had them, and so we sort of, figured out what it was.
Yeah. So here's the thing with the electrolyte powder. It has the thing that it has that's different than other electrolyte powders is it has a lot of potassium. Potassium is usually protective on the kidney. So typically it wouldn't necessarily cause pain. I mean, I guess if you took massive amounts, it could. But typically what that will do, it tends to flush the kidney. It tends to help clean stuff out of the kidney. So maybe it was flushing something out. But the point I was going to make on some people, and this happens with the ketogenic diet, is there's issue with stones, kidney stones. And when you start a ketogenic diet, when you do intermittent fasting, sometimes it could increase your tendency to get stones, especially if you're doing some of the foods, like even too many nuts or spinach, things like that, or chocolate that's even unsweetened. Some of those are high in oxalates. So either you can develop oxalate stones or uric acid stones. Now, what will happen, the symptoms from a urinary tract infection are very similar sometimes to stones. I mean, you can even have a fever, feel nauseous, almost vomiting from a kidney stone. And what happens is but the thing that kind of struck me that was different is you didn't have the abdominal pain like normally you would have with a stone, maybe because it can cause back pain. But it can also create all sorts of problems with, like if there's a stone coming out, and what happens is what you want to take is electrolyte power because of the amount of potassium citrate that will literally dissolve the stones. And when it dissolves the stones, it can push crap out of the ureters and the kidney into the bladder. The key is just drinking a little more water to flush that thing out, but it will help dissolve stones. The other thing that's interesting too is if you go for a jog and you're jogging and that stone is up into the kidney and it's kind of sharp and it's bouncing up and down, it can create blood in your urine. So that could be a way that you have blood in the urine or start having symptoms that are kind of weird. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I hope that answered the question, but thanks for calling. Hey, Lisa, you're on the air. You're from Virginia Beach. Go ahead.
Yes, I had a question. It's about black cumin seed oil.
Yeah.
And I know it has a lot of omega-6 and omega-3 and omega-9s. How good is that oil?
Well, black currant seed oil is awesome, awesome, awesome.
No, cumin seed oil.
Cumin seed?
Black cumin seed oil.
Okay. Well, okay, so that oil, black cumin seed oil, is mainly really good to get your unsaturated fats, which basically are good for skin, immune system, also good for the heart and providing more oxygen. They also help interact with calcium to mobilize calcium and transport calcium. Especially if people that get too much sun, they can get sun intoxication if they add that oil or any type of unsaturated fatty acid oil like that, that will actually help protect them. But the other real big benefit is for females in going through menopause, which I don't know, it sounds like you could be going through something like that. I think that would be good for you to take as well because it helps the transition. When a woman goes through menopause, they lose the function of their ovaries, and it puts more stress up on the pituitary, and we have this whole hormonal stress. So they do need more oils, they need more vitamin E, they need more nut oils, seed oils, so that also will help you in the transition going through menopause. So I would recommend it. I think it's great. Did you have another question about fasting?
Okay.
Yeah. Was that all your questions?
No, I know it has a lot more omega-6 than it has omega-3 and omega-9.
Right. So you want to offset that with some.
About that?
You want to add a little flax oil to that to get the omega-3, or fish oils.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hey, Kim, you're from Michigan. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So nice to talk with you. I want to thank you really quick for all that you do for everyone. I'm down here about 15 minutes from Detroit, and I've been trying to search out a natural doctor that would be supportive in helping me keep my gallbladder. Yeah. Every integrative doctor I went to, they said remove the gallbladder because mine is full of stones. So I wondered if you have a product or something you can suggest to me of a way that I can keep my gallbladder and get rid of all of the stones because it is almost full.
Okay. All right. So Kim, let's just talk about that. And again, I have to say this, anything that I say, anything I recommend is not meant to cure any medical diseases. Always check with your doctor first. This is just information, food for thought, entertainment, or data you can present to your doc, okay? All right, now here's the thing with if your gallbladder is completely filled, it's a little bit of a borderline situation, but if you want to try to salvage that, I would start doing the gallbladder formula. In the gallbladder formula I have, it's loaded with something called purified bile salts. That is the very reason why you have stones in the first place. It's a deficiency of bile. So you want to start taking that. It also has stuff to lubricate the valve so the bile can still get through from the gallbladder to the small intestine. It has stone root to help dissolve stones. It has betaine hydrochloride. It has a whole bunch of things to help with stone. And I would take probably 2 of those after a meal. I would also take the apple cider vinegar plus that I have, because you're going to have to acidify your stomach to increase your release of your own bile through the liver. Without a strong acid stomach, you can't release bile. So we need a combination of stomach and gallbladder. The other thing you need to do as far as during the day is at least one nice blended shake with kale, with beet tops and parsley, and maybe a cup of berries. Okay, and you blend it up with water. Drink that. That's what you're going to need is to really support that liver to start flushing out some of these stones and start dissolving the stones. I would get an ultrasound. I would test an ultrasound every 6 weeks to make sure that they're shrinking and they're not backing anything up. Your diet is going to have to be absolutely perfect. I highly recommend intermittent fasting, because intermittent fasting is something that will cause less eating, less aggravation to the gallbladder, and more concentration of bile itself. So do those things, and I think you'll be quite happy. Hey guys, we're going to take just a couple minute break, and we'll be right back after these short messages from my no message commercial. Thanks. Okay guys, we are back for that short break, that short commercial break that was pretty much no commercial. Hey, Jill, you're on the air. You're from North Carolina. Go ahead.
Hey, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I take all your supplements I have for about a year, and I've been transitioning into intermittent fasting. I've been doing it for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And I had watched your video on what to drink that's appropriate for intermittent fasting in the morning. And I wanted to find out, is it okay to do your organic raw wheatgrass juice in the morning and it not kick you out of your fast? And I also do maca powder and noni powder. Mm-hmm. If you know anything about those, is it okay to do those in the morning? And is it okay to do those on ketogenic? Great. Thanks for your question. So yeah, absolutely. I do the wheatgrass juice powder. I mean, the wheatgrass juice powder, it doesn't have a lot of sugar. It's mixed in it's a liquid, it's a drink, it's a seriously concentrated, nutrient-infused drink that you can do. And you're talking like a teaspoon. It's not going to bump you out of ketosis. I take it as a multivitamin, mineral, trace mineral, amino acid, everything. And that's my vitamin. So you mix it with water, a teaspoon. It will not bump you out of ketosis. It's a really good thing. You can also add your maca powder and your noni powder. Not a problem. It's a powerful antioxidants. Nothing to worry about. And just one point about that. The 1 teaspoon is equivalent to 1 tray of wheatgrass. So it's actually a very, very good thing to take when you're doing intermittent fasting and ketosis, because it allows more of a cleansing effect to decrease any type of potential for bad breath that you might get from all the waste products coming out through the body. So it's a purifier, a detoxifier, but mainly it's for the nutrition, for your skin, and it's like a kind of a substitute for coffee because it will bring your energy up. So I would definitely recommend it. Okay, thanks. Hey, Denise, you're on the air from Mississippi.
Hey, Dr. Berg. I've been doing the ketosis for about 3 weeks now, and I started doing an intermittent fasting the last week and a half. I was thinking about adding the wheatgrass powder, but I am on Coumadin for factor V laden, and with it being dark green, I don't know, is that something that does it have a lot of vitamin K where would it interact with Coumadin?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, it's loaded with vitamin K. So some people, what they do is they just take 1 teaspoon and they get with their doctor to adjust the dosages of Coumadin. Unfortunately, Coumadin is a vitamin K blocker, and so it's there because vitamin K is a clotting factor. So doctors don't want you taking it. So I would just check with your doctor. Say, listen, if I take this, can I just raise the Coumadin a little bit and keep taking? Because the benefits of wheatgrass are huge, but if not, then you can't take it because it's so loaded with vitamin K. I mean, it is the vitamin K product, unfortunately. There's a video I did on all the foods that you can consume that are low in vitamin K, so you might want to search out that video. I think it's, just search Dr. Berg and Coumadin. Thanks, Denise. Okay, Jonathan, you're on the air. You're from Oregon.
Thanks very much, Dr. Berg. I have 2 simple, I hope, questions for you, but quite diverse. One is to do with potassium. And I started taking some potassium tablets, 5 of them, but I noticed that that's about 10% of the daily recommended dose. And I just thought to myself, are there any recommendations of foods that might be rich in potassium and I could use food rather than supplement on that side? That's question 1. And question 2,
Jonathan, you clicked off. Can you hear me? Okay, I can't really hear you, but I'm just going to answer the question. So I don't know your second question, but I can see it's cycling versus walking, so maybe I'll just guess on that. But the first question is, how do you get your potassium from food? And this is, I do a lot of videos on this. What you need to do is you need to consume 7 to 10 cups of vegetables as your base, okay? Now you can get also potassium. That might not even hit your maximum potassium, but your other foods that you eat, even protein will give you potassium. Chicken, fish, beef, like a serving of that, well, it's 300 milligrams of potassium, believe it or not. So that will add to you. The nuts will add more potassium. But if you want to get a lot of potassium, you want to do beet tops. Beet tops, kale, make the shake with a little bit of berries, with water, blend it up, you will get some serious potassium from that. I mean, a lot. But basically, you're going to have to start eating more vegetables. Okay? Now, the question about cycling versus walking, I think you need a combination of both. I do cycling. I ride my bike every day it doesn't rain and snows. But I will do biking. I do sprints, and then I'll coast back and forth. I just love it. And then I also do a lot of walks. I mean, maybe not every single day, but I will go on a 45-minute walk almost every single day. And it's different than my workout. It might be just before or after I do the other biking, but I really do well on those walks. So I would recommend both. Hey, Kristen, you're from Tennessee. Go ahead, you're on the air. Kristen? Okay. Kristen, we'll come back to you. Let me just make sure. Kay, can you hear me from Dallas? Okay, so let's take a 1-minute break. Sorry about this. We'll come right back in 1 minute. All right. Hey, Kristen, can you hear me? Kristen? All right, Kristen, you can't hear me right now, so we're going to figure that out. Let me see if Kay, can you hear me? No? Yeah, so we basically have a little technical difficulty. Apparently the internet is a little bit slow, unfortunately, but tell you what, we're going to do one more break, okay? We're going to try to fix this. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Hey guys, hey listen, we're just still trying to figure out this darn phone thing, but in the meantime, let's go to the board and do a little presentation here because I have another board, another camera that we can actually continue, give you a little more education. Anyway, one thing I wanted to point out, and I just created a video on this, is there's been a lot of confusion on using your own, like your blood test, your urine test, and to be able to analyze those. So in the next probably, I guess, 2 weeks, I'm going to be creating a lot of videos on that topic. But if you take a look at it, you know, you drive a car, you have a dashboard. You have the gas pedal, you have the overheating indicator, you have the fuel gauge, you have the speedometer, you have all these indicators that you can allow you to drive your car, right? So you want to use those as feedback to see if things are working, right? And what happens is in medicine, we also have indicators. We have A1C, which is the average blood sugars for 3 months. You have blood sugars. So this should be like 5 or less. Blood sugars should be 100 or less. And then you have blood pressure, 120 over 80. You have pulse rate, and that should be 72. You have temperature, which should be 98.6. So you have all these indicators that give you feedback to know if your body is working correctly. The problem with medicine is they don't use these indicators to see why they're abnormal. They don't look at what's behind or what they represent. They basically treat the indicator. They treat the dashboard speedometer. Like, for example, if your A1C is high, they give you a drug. High blood pressure, there's a drug. High pulse rate, a drug. A fever, an aspirin. That is the problem of medicine. So we don't use these indicators as clues in pulling a string. So what we want to do is we want to realize that these are indicators, these are symptoms. But the problem is they're not very profitable to find out the real reason and correct it. The real profit is keeping these things confused and managed so you can be on that pill. And that's why they kind of design these medications to last 24 hours so that you can keep taking them. So it's like very, very expensive to get people healthy nowadays. Puts a lot of people out of jobs. But anyway, I mentioned a really interesting, on a recent video on LDL, that being bad cholesterol. And when you go on a ketogenic diet or you go on intermittent fasting, sometimes your LDL will go higher, and that freaks people out. And so like, oh my gosh, my cholesterol, my bad cholesterol is going up. LDL is the cholesterol going from the liver to the arteries, okay, and the cells. HDL, the good cholesterol, is from the cells or the arteries back to the liver. But they're really not bad or good. So LDL is just an indicator that your body is requiring more cholesterol in the cells and the arteries for some reason. And there's really two types. There's pattern A and there's pattern B. Pattern A is like the large, buoyant, fluffy cholesterol that's not, LDL that's not necessarily to worry about because it's just floating through the body and it's required by the cells. Pattern B is the real small little cholesterol, very dense, that can get into the cells and it's involved in the clotting mechanism and repair action. And so when you have high LDLs, they don't differentiate A from B. It's basically telling you the combination. So if you have more A than B, then that's normal and you might be on a medication for no reason. So the question is, how do you determine if you have more A than B or more B than A? What you do is you look at your triglycerides. That's the blood fat. If the triglycerides are high and the HDL is low, then that means that you have more B. Okay, so B would be high triglycerides, low HDL. Okay? So really, honestly, all you really need to do is make sure your triglycerides are normal or low and your HDLs are high or normal, okay? And then you don't have to worry about it because that means that your body it's not the bad type of cholesterol. It's not even bad. It's not the cholesterol that's doing any type of repair at that point. If your LDL is high and your triglycerides are normal or low, I'll just put a decrease here, and your HDLs are normal or high, then you have the A, and it doesn't really matter how much LDL you have. Even if your cholesterol is real high, it doesn't matter because think about it. When you are losing weight, okay, a fat cell is composed of triglycerides and cholesterol. So you're burning all these triglycerides, but you don't burn cholesterol. It's not burned. So that cholesterol has to release from the fat cells. Well, guess what's going to happen to your blood? You're going to have high levels of cholesterol. So you have high levels of cholesterol because that's coming out of the fat cell, through the liver, through the gallbladder, being dismantled by bile. That's a good thing. We want that to go out of the body. So anything extra in your body, you either recycle or get rid of. So that's why you don't have to freak out with this cholesterol problem, really. The only danger is that you have high B. And what causes high B is sugar, high insulin, refined carbohydrates mainly. So if you're doing the right eating plan, you're going to be fine. You don't have to worry about it. The benefit of intermittent fasting is that you don't spike insulin. You actually eat less frequent. You keep insulin low. You heal insulin. And the cholesterol eventually goes down because everything starts healing. Because what happens is like carbohydrates that you eat convert to cholesterol. Insulin turns sugar into cholesterol and triglycerides. Okay? So that's one thing. And then the other point I was going to make is the purpose of cholesterol. And I have a whole video series on this. I think it's like 4 different series. The purpose of cholesterol is to help heal, and we'll go back to the camera now, is to help heal the body of any type of lesions, provide for steroid health, provide for cell membrane material, and that's a necessary thing. And your body makes 3,000 milligrams every single day. That's a lot of cholesterol. So people don't realize that they need that cholesterol. All right, let's see if this works now. Margie, you're from Denver. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Berg. Nice
Hi.
to meet you. I've been taking your products for over a year or two now.
Uh-huh.
And my question is, what would you recommend for dry skin? My face is super dry.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a really good question, Margie. What you should take, you don't need more water. You need more oils. I would take a combination of flax oil and maybe chia seed oil, okay? Start taking that and maybe even fish oils. But those oils are the oils that you need to make the skin less dry. Okay? Good question, though. Elaine, you're on the air. You're from Virginia. Go ahead.
Hey, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Elaine Nielsen here in Suffolk,
Hi.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got some good news for you, but I'm happy. Guess why?
Why?
Because for the first time in a year, I woke up with no pain. I've had an impingement shoulder for the past year, and so it makes working out hard.
Wow.
But I have some good news for you, and I have a question for you.
Okay.
One is, I've been using the electrolyte powder with the wheatgrass lemon, and I put it in the blender with some lettuce, like a huge handful of lettuce, okay? And I put 2 scoops of each, add a little bit of water and ice, and that makes the best smoothie, and my energy is just off the charts.
Wow.
Okay.
So what kind of lettuce do you put in there?
I wanted you to know that. I made a small video because people have been asking me about it. I put it on my Facebook page. It's like maybe a minute long, 30 seconds, something like that. But it's just, that's all that's in there, and it's all I need to get me through the day.
So you put lettuce in there, like regular lettuce?
It's the spring mix.
I never thought about that. That's a great idea. I'll have to see that video.
Yeah, it's huge, and it's a huge fistful, and so I'm getting everything I need.
Wow, great.
Except for some of the supplements I take. But here's the thing, because I'm really psyched about this. Okay, so I'm really going to be hitting it hard now with my exercising because I really haven't done anything in 2 months. Okay, just because of the shoulder. I mean, I've really had to take it easy. But anyway, so here's the question. When I take my supplements and I'm doing intermittent fasting, when is the best time to take these supplements?
Yeah, good question, Elaine. Let me just answer that. Now, typically, most of the supplements don't have to be taken with food unless you're taking something that's related to digestion, like the gallbladder formula. So all the other ones can be taken anytime. Now, if you take any type of fat-soluble products like vitamin D, vitamin K2, D3, K2, that type of thing, those must be taken with like a meal, like when you're eating some fat, okay? So because they're fat soluble. But most other vitamins, it really doesn't make a big difference. So take them anytime unless they're related to digestion. Thanks for your question. I'm looking forward to watching that video too. Hey Kay, you're on the air. You're from Dallas.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I love you. I love your products. I haven't been able to sleep for years and years, and my nasal congestion is a big problem that I have experienced. Watching all your videos and taking the cortisol the day and the night has helped a lot. And even changing all my diet. I'm a vegetarian. I eat between 6 and 7, and it has helped me a lot. But the left side of my nasal cavity, I still struggle, and I have had breathing problems. I struggle breathing because I don't sleep. I haven't been sleeping well, but now with these products, it has helped, and I have slept well in the last couple of weeks.
Good.
But the cavity. The nasal cavity is still, I have used nasal drop for years and years and years. And in the last 2 weeks, some nights I haven't used. I feel good about that. I have slept well. But the nasal cavity is still there sometimes, not every day, but some days. So is there any advice on that?
Yeah, sure.
Please?
Let's talk about that, Kay. Couple things. One is that you want to do a neti pot with a little bit of garlic, a little bit of garlic juice in there, and oregano oil. Those two are really good antifungal, and they'll go up in there and they'll help that. The other thing is I just created a video, I didn't release it yet, on a really amazing thing for your sinuses and your lungs, for mucus. And it's basically called a salt inhaler. Search it on Amazon and get one. They're very inexpensive. They're a little inhaler. You take this little looks like a neti pot, and you put salt in there, sea salt in the bottom, and it breathes because it has holes in it. And you breathe it in through your mouth, and you let it out through your nose. And what happens, all these ions from 84 to 93 trace minerals go into the system and dissolve as an antibacterial, the mucus and the fungus, and they make it so it's a natural way to be able to open up your passages and breathe, and especially before bed. You would do this for about 5-10 minutes. Make sure you just don't breathe like too deeply because you might get hyperventilate. You just want to breathe normal and just let it get through the whole system, through the lungs and the sinuses. You're going to sleep really good when you do that because it'll help you with congestion anywhere in the respiratory, and it's great for people with sleep apnea. So go ahead and get one. It's called a salt flush, okay? No, it's called a salt inhaler. That's right. Use Himalayan salt, and it comes in a kit. Thanks, Kay. Hey, Dale, you're on the air. You're from Orlando.
Hi, Dr. Berg. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
For the longest time, I've been getting some very severe cramps in my calves at night, and I think that most days I eat the quantity of vegetables that you suggest.
Mm-hmm.
I also take 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate every night before bed.
Mm-hmm.
About 3 weeks ago, I added your adrenal night formula and your wheatgrass and your electrolyte powder, which I do the wheatgrass and the electrolytes during the day. I heard once that you occasionally recommend calcium for calf cramps. These haven't eased up on me, and I was just wondering what you would suggest for that.
Good question, Dale. So, yeah, the thing about these muscle cramps, typically it's potassium or magnesium, okay? And you're taking the electrolyte powder. That should get rid of that because those electrolytes are involved in the muscle contraction relaxation. But calcium is another, it's also in there in smaller amounts, but calcium could be another reason why you're twitching, or even sodium. So it could be one of them. You're going to hit it eventually, but you may want to just try some calcium and see if it goes away. Calcium citrate. That's in the electrolytes, but it's not as much. My electrolyte powder is heavy on the potassium, which is the most common reason. But now let's say you do all these things and the twitching still doesn't go away. Then we know your pH is off and we need to add the apple cider vinegar to acidify you, to mobilize these electrolytes. But go ahead and try some calcium and see if it doesn't zap it and make it go bye-bye. And it's rare, but that could be a common thing. Okay? Hey, thanks for your call. Hey, Andrea, you're from Illinois. Go ahead, you're on the air. Audrey,
yeah. Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
For the past 6 months, I've been having like severe bloating after I ingest pretty much anything, and that's one of the reasons I've switched to eating just once a day. I don't know what is causing it. I was taking the apple cider vinegar plus, but after I ran out, I started doing the tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and water 30 minutes before my meal. And I've been doing nutritional yeast, about a tablespoon, and I've been adding the radishes because I heard that root vegetables were good for digestion. So I'm just kind of stumped on what the problem is because I bloat up and I end up looking like 9 months pregnant.
Okay. You said you're eating just once a day?
Yeah.
Okay. But you bloat after that. Now, question, do you have constipation?
No.
Okay. Are you eating a lot of vegetables that you don't normally eat?
No, actually, the only vegetables I really eat are just salad and radishes.
Okay.
I don't have much cruciferous, really.
Okay. Is there any food that you know is more bloating than other foods?
No, actually, anything will bloat me. Like, even if I have a bulletproof coffee in the morning, that'll do it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. There's a couple things. You're doing the right thing with apple cider vinegar, and some people, they have something called hypochlorhydria, which is just low stomach acids, and they need to take more of the apple cider vinegar plus. And some people, you might even want to take 5 with a meal, just to start to acidify you so you can start to work. And then also add the gallbladder formula, which is the bile after the meal, to add, that's the main one that handles bloating, is the gallbladder formula. I don't know if you're trying that, but that's something that I would highly recommend. So let's say, for example, you do that and it works, great. Good, problem solved. You take it over a period of time and then you might not need it after that because your body has adjusted. But let's say you're still bloating, okay? Then I would look at building up your flora, your good bacteria in your gut to help you with bloating. Let's say you were still bloating. Then I would check for food allergies and make sure that there's nothing that is that you're allergic to that's creating a problem, okay? And so those are things that you can do as a quick tip, but that should help, all right? But I'm glad you're doing once a day because that'll give your system a chance to reset. Hey, Jackie, you're from Miami. Go ahead, you're on the air.
Hey, Dr. Berg. Thank
Hi.
you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
Oh, my goodness. I am trying to get a grasp on this intermittent fasting and 3 meals a day, no snacking concept.
Yeah.
I'm 53. For the past, before I turned 50, that is, I was able to manage my weight. I felt great with eating every 3 hours because that's what they would tell us for a fast metabolism. If you
Right.
don't eat every 3 hours, you're going to kill your metabolism. So I'm kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so that's the question, right?
I just want to make sure. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm not killing my metabolism.
Okay, I'm going to go to the board and explain this. Okay? So check this out. This is a very important thing here. Very important. Intermittent fasting is probably one of the most powerful tools you can eat. And conventionally, the traditional diets say eat every 3 hours, right? Wow. That's one way to create diabetes. 3 hours. I mean, if you think about it, our bodies were not designed to eat that frequent. And so every time, and here's the data, every time you eat, you spike insulin. Okay? Diabetes is too much insulin. Pre-diabetic is too much insulin. Too much insulin will create insulin resistance, which is a pre-diabetic. So let's say you eat, you spike insulin. Insulin comes in there and pushes your blood sugars down. Now you end up with a little bit of a lower blood sugar. Guess what? You're going to be hungry. You're going to have more appetite to eat more. So eating makes you more hungry. It slows your metabolism because it raises insulin. If you want to lose weight, you have to lower insulin. So it's false data that you need to eat every 3 days. It's like the worst advice. I mean, take a look at a sumo wrestler. What do they do to fatten themselves? They eat every like 2 hours. Okay, it's a great way to gain unhealthy fat. So you go from every 3 hours to 3 meals a day. That's the first goal. No snacks. How do you do it? You add more fat at the end of the meal to go longer. Okay, you do that until your body feels comfortable with that. Then you take it one step further and you don't eat in the morning until you're hungry, and you try to go 4 hours in the morning till your first meal. Do that for a while until you feel comfortable. You're adapting to that. What are you eating at this point? You're eating your own fat because you're in the fast. Okay? But as soon as you eat, you're going to be hungry and it's going to throw out the fast. You want to keep going until you can go all the way until the point where like you might not eat until 12, like 11 or 12. And that's your first meal. Okay, is that bad? No, it's good. And then you can then eat in the 8-hour window. Okay, or then start shortening it till you have like a 5-hour window and then a 4-hour window. So now you get to the situation where you have a 4-hour window of eating. Doesn't mean you're grazing all the time, but you're eating within that period of time. Then you got a 20-hour fasting period. Can you imagine fasting for 20 hours, what that does to growth hormone, belly fat, weight loss, brain cells? It actually increases brain cells. So I'll go back over here. Neurogenesis. I mean, intermittent fasting and fasting will cause neurogenesis, which is an increase of your brain cells. Incredible. So I hope that helped, Jackie. Hey, Christian, you're on the air. You're from Nashville. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I'm so happy to talk to you. I'm so thankful for all your videos. You've taught me so much, and I've read your book. And I've been on this health journey for about 6 years, but I have a lot of back and neck problems, but they've gotten so much better. But my biggest question is today is that I have this foot that just hurts all the time now. It just doesn't seem to go away, and it's in the middle of my left foot on the top part, like if you came up the top of my foot right in the middle, and it's more on the side where my two toes are, and it's kind of on the outside, and it just aches and aches and aches, and I can't. I've rested it, I've propped it up. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I take lots of vitamins, I take lots of healthy foods, and I don't eat sugar, and I just don't know where to go from here.
Okay, there's two things for that. Number one, on some cases with doing ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting, you could have high levels of uric acid that could be coming out from the kidney, and that can create foot pain in that area, possibly. So it could be uric acid. If that's the case, then all you do is you add more potassium citrate. The electrolyte stuff, you may be taking that already, that might flush it out. Secondly, the other thing that you want to do is have someone do this, or you do it, and massage the opposite calf, okay? Not the same side, the calf. And you go up into your Achilles tendon, into the back of the calf, and massage it. It's kind of hard to do on yourself, but you could do it like a little roller or a massage tool or something like that. But you want to work that calf out. It's going to be really tender. Keep working the calf out, and what will happen is the pain will go away on the left side. So you always work on the opposite side, but in your case, to fix the foot, you work on the opposite calf, and that should make the pain go away. All right? It's pretty, actually, you'll be amazed. I wish you were here, we could do the demo, but thanks for calling. Hey, Jeanette, you're on the air. You are from Cleveland. Go ahead. You are the last caller. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. I have two questions for you, one pertaining to intermittent fasting and the other to the ACV drink. Intermittent fasting, I'm new to it, and I'm reading conflicting information about it. I just wanted to know, pretty much in a nutshell, is there a guideline as far as women doing intermittent fasting versus men in the non-eating hours?
Mm-hmm. Good. Did you have any other questions on that?
That's it for the intermittent fasting. And then the question pertaining to apple cider vinegar, is there a guideline as far as maybe 15, 20 minutes before a meal, or just first thing in the morning, or the last thing at night, when to take it?
Okay, great. Well, the apple cider vinegar drink should be, I like to take it with the meal, right at the meal, right before. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes before, it could be right during, but right before is fine. Now, as far as intermittent fasting between men and women, there's really no information on one versus the other as far as anything special. But the pattern, it's not going to affect your hormones. I mean, if you have this certain pattern of intermittent fasting versus some other pattern. And I know there is some data out there, but it's not really based on anything other than someone's opinion, which I totally disagree with. But the point with intermittent fasting is that there's two things. One is it's incredibly beneficial for your health, for brain, regenerating nerve cells, losing weight, fixing insulin, helping diabetes, all that stuff. And so it's really good. But the problem with it is that people jump into it a little too fast because they're not ready for it. They're going too fast, you're going to crash and burn with your blood sugar. So you want to first go to 3 meals a day. And some people can't even do that. But the way you do it is you add more fat with a meal. And you do that until you can do it comfortably with no hunger and no blood sugar symptoms. Okay? So that might take some weeks. Then you take it one step further. And in the morning, if you're not hungry, you don't eat. So you try to go longer and longer and longer. So you get up and you wait an hour, 2, 3, 4, 5, until you can go longer and longer in the morning when you're not hungry. Okay? And you'll see after like a period of time, you're like, wow, I have no hunger, no appetite, and I can go longer. Okay? But as soon as you start eating, then you're going to be hungry. So now, and then you eat. And then you have this window of eating, like let's say you start with 8 hours. You have your 3 meals. So you're still doing 3 meals, but you're shortening them to 8 hours. Okay? And then you shorten them to 7 hours. Then you shorten them to 6, 5, and 4 would be the ultimate. So now you have 20 hours of fasting and 4 hours of eating window. Now, why am I saying that? That's like the thing to work up to if you really want to have the full benefit. Some people don't have to go to that level. Some people eat within a 5-hour window, sometimes 6, and they're totally fine and they're comfortable and they don't need to lose as much weight or they don't need to improve that much health. But the point is that if you do this, you're going to find, like, all of a sudden your hunger goes away, your appetite goes away, your body's very efficient, your muscles do better, everything does better, but you won't know it until you do it. So it's kind of like something that you have to experience. It's almost going to give you a euphoric feeling. Okay, so you should try it. Thanks for your call, Jeanette. Hey, you guys, I want to thank you for your patience and your questions. You know what? Let's talk next week, Friday, same time, and look forward to talking to you. Thank you so much.